last 8, I think. But previously, I was either doing that part-time, part of role, more solution consulting than sales engineering. But I've been focusing exclusively on sales engineering for several years now.
Okay, cool. All right, well, let's go live. I guess people start jumping in.
And I will let you start with introductions and everything, and let me know when you would like me to start sharing.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for Vinegar and Oil, pre-sales and partners with Renato Bonamini. My name is Taylor Forbush. I'm an account executive at Consensus, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. DemoFest is presented by Consensus. Consensus is leading the world into the new era of demo automation. Our platform gets your buyers what they need when they need it. It then multiplies your revenue team's impact with unique insights on those buyers. As a result, you'll see faster close times, larger deals, and higher close rates. You can learn more at goconsensus.com or view the automated micro demo at the link in the Docs tab on the right of your screen. We encourage you to participate in today's session. On the right side of your console, you can see a few ways to engage with us throughout the session. The chat function will allow you to engage with us as well as other attendees. Throughout the session, you may see a few polls. We encourage you to participate as your feedback is important to us. Our speaker today will be taking questions from the audience at the end of the session, but we encourage you to ask questions at any time through the Q&A box. If at any time you're having technical difficulties, head to the gear on the bottom of your screen. And here you will see a help document to help troubleshoot common issues. And now I'd like to introduce you to our speaker, Vice President of Sales Engineering at ContentWise. He was a data scientist before it became cool to be one. Today, as a technology startup executive with experience in machine learning and digital signal processing, his goal is to help companies understand how to use data and provide insight and actionable intelligence. And with that, I will turn the rest of the time over to you, Renato.
Thank you, Taylor, so much. And thank you, Consensus, for giving me the opportunity. I really appreciate it. So I would like to start sharing today. And as you might see from my background, I'm actually in a tiny New York City hotel room. So I'm actually working off my laptop, and I'm going to have fun using a single screen. When you get used to actually using multiple, it's no longer fun using just one. All right. So vinegar and oil. Now, when I had to come down with a thought of a presentation, I thought about something that might actually express the idea of working with pre-sales and partners. And it's great to actually have so many of you that work in sales engineering today attending this session. So what I would like to take is actually an opportunity to explain the role of sales engineering. I usually prefer the term sales engineering rather than pre-sales, but I use them in the same context, towards the development of partners, and how this actually looks in terms of vinegar and oil. So as you might actually hear from my fake Italian accent, I'm actually Italian indeed, even if I spent 6 years in Boston and now I've been 7 years in Los Angeles. I'm originally from Italy. So every time someone comes around the States and asks me, hey, can you bring me to a good Italian restaurant? That's always a very, very difficult answer for me, because it's usually, well, it's my house. I generally don't go. The few times I actually go to an Italian restaurant, they always offer me this plate with vinegar and oil in it. And I look at it and like, this is really not Italian. So next time you go to an Italian restaurant, now you know that I say that's not really how it works in Italy, really. It might be in certain regions, in very, very specific areas, but generally no. And when I look at this, it's fascinating how to see vinegar and oil don't mix well together. So this is the leitmotif of this presentation today, is how can you actually manage to mix and have a good situation where you have the positioning of your own products and your own services, and in the meantime, help your partners develop their own products, develop their own positioning to actually help you as a company. And it seems like these two goals really don't mix well together. So why me today? Let me give a little bit of introduction about myself on top of what Taylor already mentioned. So my role is indeed VP of Sales Engineering, but also with a bit of addendum. ContentWise is not a huge company. We are actually around 60 within ContentWise itself, which is part of a larger group called Moviera Group of about 200 people. And I've been with the company for now, gosh, it's been a long time. I think it's 17 years now. And I've been in the role of pre-sales for about 15. And even if we're not a huge company at all, we're actually pretty small. We like the idea of actually working in small teams. We always have a lot of roles and a lot of hats. While my main role is sales engineering, when it came a time to actually define a team of people that help the development of partners, we decided that have this role within the sales engineering team was going to be the best option. So that's why I'm going to actually share these ideas with you, because that's what I've been doing for several years. I invite you to connect with me on LinkedIn. You'll find it. It's Renato Bo, very easy handle. What do we do at ContentWise? At ContentWise, we are actually a company that performs user experience personalization. So anytime I have to explain it to family friends, or even every time my wife has to explain to someone else, you know what Netflix does when you go in and you watch a movie and then you get recommendations about other titles you might like? That's in a nutshell what we do, in a very, very light idea. So what we do is we actually take signals from the user experience and we provide back a personalized user experience to the user. And the more the user feels like this is not pushed to them and it feels natural, it feels at home, the better work we are doing. And I mentioned this because this is also something that works extremely well when you're actually doing sales engineering itself. As I mentioned, about 15 years of experience in sales engineering and in partner development. As part of my experience with the Moviera Group, of which ContentWise is part, I've also worked in partner development as part of the Moviera in a very different area related to finance and IT operations. My focus has been primarily on business to business, so that's why partners are critical from my perspective. And all of the experience that I will talk about today is strictly related to discussions happening in the B2B space. So if you're a B2C company, you might find some things useful, but really I'm going to talk about mostly B2B. Every context or conversation will be around that specific area. My experience in terms of what kind of customers has been mostly focused on finance when I was part of the Moviera Group, working as a transversal role, where I was also managing ContentWise. But then in the last 10 years, I've been focused specifically on the sub-company ContentWise, where we work mainly with media industries. And when I talk about media, I mean streaming companies that actually have movies. That's why the Netflix analogy that we were talking a second ago. My experience from right now my role is global. I had a team of people that is actually spread around the world: Taiwan, Sao Paulo, Milan. I'm myself in Los Angeles, and I've actually worked a little bit in Milan. Even if I'm Italian, I actually have developed most of my working experience outside of Italy. I've always been the person volunteering to go into international projects. I work in Greece, I work in Germany, I work in Switzerland, I've worked in the UK for quite some time. And then one day I found myself in New York City and looking around and realizing that I spend way more time in New York City than at home. So I told my wife, honey, why don't you just relocate? Move to Boston, open an office for a company. Office worked well, so moved to Los Angeles and help growing up another office in Los Angeles itself. And I've been enjoying the sunny Southern California weather for quite some few years. Why Southern California? Because as a side passion of mine, outside of work, I'm an avid motorcycle rider. You can see me there riding in the LA streets. You can recognize the palm, and Southern California is really the best place to do that. That's enough about me, but just gives you a little bit of context and a little bit of understanding of why I will be focusing on certain things rather than others. Oil and vinegar. If you actually look up the picture that I used earlier, you'll find that it's part of a Wikipedia article which talked about phase separation. I failed to mention a second ago that I come from an actually engineering background, digital signal processing, machine learning, so very technical. So when I started doing sales engineering, I actually very much enjoyed the engineering part. The sales to me always felt a kind of an acquired taste, a kind of an acquired skill. So when it comes to phase separation, I go back to my area of comfort science. And I look at this from the perspective of understanding that there are two things that we're trying to do here at the same time. On one part, we're trying to help our company needs. And on the other side, we're trying to help what our ecosystem needs. And these two things rarely go well together because of, in essence, of a single point of failure: your time, your support, your effort. You have to decide how much time you want to spend helping direct sales to your company, helping developing your own company, and how much time you want to actually put into developing your partners. And these two things really don't mix because you either do one or the other. So how do we solve this? So my promise to you during this session today is not to give you the exact answer, because this will actually vary on your experience, on your specific company and your specific context. But I will actually tell you what I found, and I will tell you the way that I approach the problem, so that hopefully you can actually take a hint on how it could work well in your specific case. So what we'll go through, a little bit of agenda and preparation. First of all, we will start by looking at the problem very deeply. Now, my session, unlike others that I've seen up in the agenda, doesn't talk specifically about pre-sales skills. And I'm giving them a kind of granted. So one point of view and one point of information that I would like to convey today, which is strictly related to the sales engineering perspective, is I always find myself telling my teammates, please, please, please focus on the problem before you start looking at a solution. So the agenda for today focuses a lot on what is a partner? What are the type of partners that are available? How to identify one? How do we actually categorize them? How we develop a taxonomy for them? Then again, looking again at the problem, what are the problems that we're trying to solve? What are the things, the issues, the problems that come up when we talk about partners internally? And then I'll gradually move into looking at potential solution, but more I will discuss a framework on how a partner development strategy can actually work. But most importantly, I will share some of the tips and tricks in the lesson learned phase that I've actually picked up, and things that if I wish I'd known before I started doing this 10, 15 years ago. Maybe time has taught me these sessions. Maybe it has been other colleagues of mine, maybe experience, but definitely it would be good to know. So I'd like to share some of these sessions on. And I would like to keep the Q&A at the end. I would invite you to actually start typing in questions in the chat window. Taylor will help me moderate at the end, and we'll go through that as soon as we're done through the presentation. So let's start with the first part, which is let's look at the problem, and let's look at the problem in a very deep way. So in science, and going back to the engineering point of view, there is a saying, in science, when you don't understand something, just give it a name. And then you start actually understanding something. It's a kind of a joke on itself, but the first thing that we should actually try to do is to understand the zoo of partners that we're looking at. And yes, they do come in different colors and shapes, so it's important to try to identify what does a partner mean, because it might mean something very different to you compared to what it means to me. So let me try to draw a map from a very high-level perspective of a potential ecosystem. When we think about partners, we can think of, very traditional, easy way of a partner channel or a reseller. For example, it could be a system integrator that doesn't have product on their own. They simply source products or capabilities or services from other companies and then put them together. And your company is part of an alliance, is part of an ecosystem. The system integrator simply resells your software as part of a larger package of services. Or it could be an OEM style of partner, where they actually embed your product, your capabilities within a larger product. Those are usually what are referred to as channels or resellers. The second class of partners, which, as you can see, the difference is in the way to market. Whether in the system integrator or OEM, those are reselling partners. There are a lot of other partners who might not be interested in the reselling itself, but they actually have a vested interest in going to market together. Because, for example, in the first case you can see here, your company and the partner have complementary offerings so that you can actually work very well together with them. Or, this is the complicated case, which is actually happens most of the time, you have partners which are in a similar space, but they do have some capabilities that are overlapping yours. So how do you handle that? So it's rarely the case that you find a company that has the perfect complementary solution to yours. More than often, you actually find another company which has some capabilities you also have, and you have to understand how to actually work with them. But which companies are selling which really depends on the specific opportunity and the specific customer itself. The last type of partnership situation, which I'm not going to go into details, is the case where you have a partner that you resell. Rarely happens in my experience, in my specific personal experience, just because of the kind of business that we do. But I would expect that a lot of the considerations that I'm doing actually apply to them as well. So this can serve as an idea to start understanding how do we differentiate partners according to the way they go to market, whether they are resellers, whether they are not interested in reselling. How do you differentiate them in terms of the capabilities they bring? They might have zero capabilities. Maybe they're only system integration. They don't have any product per se. They might have overlapping capabilities with you, or they might have complementary, hopefully. Or maybe you're a piece of the puzzle that they're reselling, like in the case of the OEM that you see here. If I take an example that comes from my personal situation, content-wise, I've actually developed this idea of looking at partners from a zoo perspective. So you have the value-added reseller, the channel partner. Their primary goal is simply to resell your software. Now, this is a role. It's not specifically a type of partner. You might be one type of partner, and you can be a value-added reseller or not. So a VAR agreement, as it's usually called, could be something that it's associated with any partner. A channel partner can be any type of partner. So channel, VAR, they are simply roles. They're not actually specifically types. The system integrator on the other side is a company that, for example, has on their own, very likely does not have actually any software or any product capability. They do provide the expertise for the specific field of work, or an expertise and a very good relationship with a specific customer. So you have to work through them, because either your end customer tells you so, or because it just makes a lot of sense. They know the environment, they know the customer, so they can actually help you. In my specific case of video platforms, which you can think of as a larger OEM agreement, where, for example, our software is a piece of the puzzle of a video platform, that's often a very interesting type of partner for us. And then we go into the neighboring partners, the ones that we saw earlier that might resell us, might not. Maybe we just go together to a partner, into an actually transaction with a customer, but not necessarily any companies reselling the other. So we have, for example, UI providers, or we have the metadata providers. All of these are pieces of the puzzle on their own that you might want to look at potential partners from a go-to-market perspective. AdTech is another one. Why this map? This map because the approach you take with each one of partner might be very different. Because if you're talking to a system integrator, they're very likely focused on a few specific customers that they have, and they want to provide an end-to-end service for their customers. So they work in a very specific narrow region. They have an extremely good relationship with the actual end customer. They will be your only point of contact within the opportunity itself. But if you're talking to a metadata provider or UI provider or any other company who's not interested in reselling, who's just more of a technology partner, then it's a very different conversation. So the first thing that I would recommend is actually to build this map of who are the partners that we're talking to. Once you have this map, be aware that obviously Who Moved My Cheese always applies. Very traditional book in management, so we recommend obviously reading. So this gives you an idea, for example, in my specific case, of what changed over time when we talk about partnerships. Because we went through, specifically in the media and streaming space, we went to a situation where we had the Lego period, where each company was essentially independent and the operator just did the plumbing. So they will go to each single company and they will work with them independently. So there was very little partnership, except for maybe vendor one and vendor two have a pre-made integration. Yeah, okay, fine, nice. The operator was doing all the plumbing. We then move to the era of platforms, vertically integrated solutions where you become a piece of the puzzle. In our case, we are represented by the Reiko engine layer here. And in that case, what happens is that you have to work with this technology platform, which might have some capabilities in-house. Maybe they're basic compared to what you provide, but you have to work with them. So they become a little bit of a vertical integration. And for those of you who have studied a little bit of economics, who have maybe looked into MBAs, a lot of pre-sales engineers are doing that. You can actually look at this from a competitive point of view, the traditional point of view of the vertical integration. The latest trend is unfortunately even more complicated, where nowadays the only reasonable way to work with partners is through what we call alliances. These are loosely related relationships of companies that get together to address a specific situation. They're not system integrator, they might be reselling, they might not. So it's a much more fluid conversation. And you end up with cluster of companies that usually work together. So that when an operator, for example, in our case, needs to work with a specific piece of software, like they like a specific UX manager or they like a specific CMS, they tend to choose the alliance and all the partners that are part of that alliance. So it's important for you from a partner development perspective to pick and identify what are the alliances, who are the partners, who among our competitors are actually working in each alliance. So you need to have all of these mapped out. Now that we identified and we talk about what are the type of partners, let's start looking at the second part of the problem. What is the problem that we're actually trying to solve? And classic quote from management, and the bad management, now don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. Once again, it's actually a very good idea to start talking about the problem and talk about the problems to death before you start looking at the solution. So let's do another round about the problem itself. And I actually invite you to start playing bingo with me, and let's play the bingo of partner issues. So I'm going to show you some partner issues that I picked up over time by my colleagues, working with other partners, heard around, and I would like you to start counting. And when you get to 5, there will be 6. Please put a comment in the chat window that you actually achieve 5 so that we know you win bingo. Fortunately, there won't be any physical prize, but you'll have all of my gratitude if that matters. So let's uncover, let's roll. And the first bingo card is partner X is developing a feature just like ours. Yes, how many times that happens? You can actually go to the supermarket of ideas and buy 100 of them a dime. So it is inevitable that there will be a partner which has features and capabilities that are just like yours, or a partner that look at yours, they work with you, and they then decide to develop their own version of your feature. It will happen. What do? You just say, goodbye, partner, or do you work with it? That's a very good problem. Second bingo card, these come from internal people. I need to support our customers. I don't have time for partners. If I am caught in between allocating my time, should I work with our existing customers or should I work with partners? And many times it is very easy to fall back into the old habit of, well, I'll give all my priority to customers, and any time left, I'll work with partners, which means I would never work with partners because we all know that time is very much a very limited resource nowadays. Another comment, these come usually from more of the sales part of the organization. Partner one can't sell our value. Well, yes, that's a good problem to have. It means that we failed our job as pre-sales or sales engineering or as a company to show to partner Y what is our value. Don't expect that they will actually do this on their own. You have to enable them. And it is your responsibility to make sure that that actually happens. Don't expect that another company will do the effort of understanding what your value is. You have to explain it to them. Consider them as if you would with an existing customer who might be a cold lead or something. You have to ignite the spark for them to understand what you might be wanting to do. Next one, and we're getting close to bingo. Why should we sell through a partner? Obviously, if you can sell direct and have a higher margin and make everyone happy and maybe get some more commission in your paycheck, why would you go through a partner and leave some money on the table? Well, there are lots of reasons, and most of the time, in my experience, working through a partner when it makes sense, which is most of the time, it actually eventually gives you more margin, more money, better opportunities, more work, more opportunities to do better for customers rather than if you're trying to go alone. Okay, we might have some winners now. Partner Z does not bring any lead. Which leads are you bringing? That's usually my comment back to my colleagues, which complain about some partners which might not bring any lead in. So first of all, you need to understand where are you standing in the ecosystem. Are you a lead generator? Are you a lead receiver? Are you a company that has a lot of networking with end customers? Are you more a piece of the puzzle and then you just follow along other companies? So depending on when you are, it is totally okay to have partners which don't bring any lead at all. Other companies do bring them, but you have to understand what is the goal of a partnership. Is it to actually for lead generation? Because I've actually worked in the past, more of the Movira group, on companies that the only thing they were looking for were partners that would generate lead. They couldn't care about anything else. It was a very, very opportunistic relationship. And it's quite the opposite of what I'm trying to show you today of building strategic relationships. Last one, why so much time investing in educating a partner? Yes, it takes time. And we mentioned, I think I told you 3 times so far, that time is probably the most important resource that you have as a pre-sales resource. So why would you dedicate so much of your time into educating a partner? Well, there's a good reason, is that it actually amplifies your capabilities as an organization and your capabilities as a pre-sales engineer, because you essentially are creating a new team of pre-sales engineer at your partner if you do this well. If we look at the problem, we start seeing that there are actually different moments in the partner relations that we have to address. So what are some of the things that we have to do? If we look at a timeline point of view, there is a first part where the role of pre-sales is important from an evaluation perspective. So we have the evaluate point of view. Understand what capabilities that the partners offer. Are they complementary, overlapping, competitive? Understand the market strategy. Is it a channel partner? Is it a lead sharing? Is it a referral partner? From which direction? The market presence. Is it a regional partner, vertical, global? Once you have evaluated if the partner is actually important to your business and where does it fall in the ecosystem map, next step is enablement. Very important step of enablement, people. You are entering a relationship with a partner. That's why they're called partners. Yes. So explaining to them and getting from them who is who and establishing that personal relationship is crucial. And as sales engineering, we have to work with our sales organization to do that. It is not just a sales organization responsibility, it is a sales engineering responsibility. Process, understand what you need to do, formal, informal. That sometimes, especially with large partners like foundation companies, for example, cloud service providers and so on, the formal part of the process is extremely expensive. If any of you has tried to sell your services through any of the cloud marketplaces, you will know how much time and effort that takes. It takes months of work to get it done. So it's important to understand that. So some other companies are purely informal, nothing on paper, no lead registration, nothing. It's more of a shake of hands. Great if that happens. And in the enablement part is an honest assessment of the capabilities, understanding where there are competitive situations, what to do with them in a very honest way. It shouldn't be, oh, it's always us, because it will be the same on the other side. These conversations go both ways, us to partner, partner to us. Once you have enabled a partner, then you switch gear and you go into the nurture phase. So from a capability perspective, that means, for example, developing product integrations, if such things are available, working on joint demonstrations. For example, you might have a demo environment which has data from a partner company that provides you data and you put capabilities, but also developing joint roadmap. What capabilities we are bringing to market together and what capability each company is building to support each other. From a process perspective, the definition of a go-to-market strategy, maybe we go to conferences together, maybe we do white papers, maybe we do webinars, or maybe we simply share the pipeline of leads. Or maybe the decision is the one company does lead generation and the other one is simply following. Maybe there's a referral agreement. So that's all part of the nurture part. Now that I've spent quite significant time on the problem part, and I'm happy that I was able to spend quite significant time on the problem part, it's time to start talking about a little bit of the solution. So what I would like to do is to present you a very light framework of a development strategy, mostly from what is the role of sales engineering. Now, obviously, your strategy should not be the beating will continue until morale improves. Try not to make it so. When we look at the actors involved in this conversation, we can see that we have obviously partners, we have engineering, your engineering team, your customer success team, your sales team, and you, sales engineering. And it's a sales engineering conference, so let's put sales engineering in the middle. So what you want to do to start developing a framework to help partners is act as the point of contact with partners from a technology point of view. Think of partners as your end customer and treat them as such when it comes to conversations. So for example, if we look at the engineering point of view, what you can do, you can work within your engineering to collect what capabilities and functionalities are required to support my partner. Maybe we need a new API. Maybe we need to develop some new documentation. Maybe we need to stop development of a certain capability because we can simply use a partner and they do a much better job. Why would we reinvent the wheel? It's a very tough conversation. Really, this conversation comes to a good ending because obviously engineering wants to build, but it has to be you who brings these tough conversations on the table because you are at the center of all of these processes. You see the market, you see customers, you see partners, you understand what they're looking for and what they offer, and you can provide this feedback back to your engineering. When it comes to customer success, it is important that, yes, pre-sales means that once a sale is done, your job is done. Well, yes and no. So you should really talk to your customer success team and get a feedback from them on how relationship with partners are going, because maybe you think you had it figured out completely and things are not working exactly the way they should. Or again, the cheese is moved and you have to change strategies. So talk to your customer success team, get a feedback, help them solve situations that are problematic with your partners when it comes to that. And I'm going to leave the most important one last, your relationship with sales. I will not actually tell you how important the role of your relationship with sales is. You're sales engineering, you should know already, hopefully. But in the context of partner development, it is really a job, from my perspective, that it's best done when it's done together with sales and sales engineering. Sales has a knack for the opportunity, the talking, the finding out, the negotiation, the activity, the money part, the relationship point of view. Sales engineering is great at understanding the technology, providing value, explaining value, justifying value, realizing value. So what you can do, you can not just support your sales team, but actually be an equal partner for your sales team in the development of partnership. You can define joint offering values. If we work with partner X, this is the value that we jointly put together on the table. You can support the feasibility of doing something. You can actually look at your capabilities, the partner capabilities, and understand which type of partner would be best to support a specific customer. All the opportunity talk, honestly, if I look at my own experience, I usually just lead the sales team deal with the periodic touch base with partners from a sales perspective. What opportunities are there? What customers? Use sales for what sales is best. Let them handle the opportunity talk. And use your skills as a sales engineering for what your skills are best. Keep it real. Keep it valuable. Make sure that the value part is actually realized. Folding towards the end, I would now like to share a few of the lessons learned that are actually coming from Indeed, not directly from things that I learned from our sales team, but in a kind of a joke, yes, they do come. So things that are actually a couple of tools that might help you in dealing with working with partners. And this exactly comes from sales. It is highly recommended, in my experience, to consider that when we talk about partners, we're looking at hundreds of potential customers. The pipeline you see right here comes from actually a screenshot of a presentation that I did internally, I think last year, 2 years ago, about the status of our partners. And you can see here there are 160 or more, actually 149, 59, 63, 171 partners in this pipeline. That's a lot of partners. If you have to talk to about opportunities, which one of them, your whole sales engineering team will just do that. That's why you need sales. You need their skills in sniffing out the good opportunities from the bad ones. But you can actually prioritize discussions in partners that, for example, you might want to stop communicating with them. The top part of the funnel here is partners that are probably deemed to skim out. It's not worth working with them. Maybe because they have a purely competitive situation. Maybe because it's been bad working with them and it is personal. Personal meaning that you want to work with them nicely. And if it cannot happen, probably should look at another partner. So here, for example, you see in my case, I have 8 partners, which we have to kick them out from our partnership program. We have to. Then about 110, which are potential prospect partners. We need to understand whether it makes sense, and we know who they are. Maybe we talked to them a few times. It's like a cold lead. So it looks exactly like a sales pipeline. Then there's a mature stage, 39 partners that are at a good point. Conversation has started, some paperwork has started, and then there are a few strategic partners, more than a few in this case, 14 in this case, where we actually have agreements in terms of referral agreements, reselling agreements, partnership agreements, exclusivity agreements, very rare, but they might actually happen if it makes sense. So treat your partner's pipeline as if it were a sales pipeline. Sales is not going to do that. So if you are in a position as sales engineer to handle your partnership development, you should really handle it as a sales organization does for the actual end customers. Build a pipeline. In a similar way, once you build a pipeline, a tool that I found extremely useful, which was inspired by a former colleague of ours in my team, was actually to build a card about each partner. There's nothing like trying to put things on paper that forces you to actually quantify the value of a partner. This should happen for every sales opportunity. And I think as sales engineers, we know how much it doesn't actually happen the way we want. Hey, who's the decision maker? Who has the authority to sign? Who's the technical evaluator? Who is our champion? All questions that usually you will want to know from an opportunity perspective, especially if you're following some of the more standard framework of selling methodologies. You can actually apply the same type of principle to build a map, a card for each partner, where you try to write down who is the internal reference, what is the status of the partnership, what is the type of partnership, what are they located? Well, you should at least know where they are. Maybe you actually have visited them. What contacts you have, their actual names, what the type of relationship you have with them. Do I just know their name? Did I put out a contact on LinkedIn and that's all I've done? Or is this someone that every time there is a conference, I go there and I'm happy to see them because we talk business, or maybe you have a personal relationship? Down to more of what are the objectives of the partnership? Are we trying to grow our market? Are we trying to go to market together? Are we trying to develop a joint solution? What are the solutions that we're trying to do? What is the action plan for that customer? So obviously you cannot do this for 170, 180 partners. This should really be a starting point for every partner. And then the amount of information you have in place will already tell you what's the quality of your partnership. If you have a partner which you consider strategic and you do not have all of this information in place, you might want to rethink what strategic means to you. The last lesson learned, which is very, very important from a visibility perspective, there is never enough advertisement about the work you do in pre-sales in terms of contributing to the bottom line of the company. It's easy to do when it comes to sale because sale will do that for you. The sales organization will simply go around and say how much pipeline has been delivered and how much your contribution was instrumental. I hope that happens for you. It happens in my case. Very happy. When it comes to partners, I do find that you have to be defensive internally in terms of justifying how much business are our partner bringing. It doesn't only mean how much business it's actually going on the partner paperwork, but it might mean business that it's been brought by them, someone they know, someone they refer to you. It might be a referral agreement, or it might be simply, hey, go and talk to that company because I think you might be a good fit for them. That's already a partner influenced kind of opportunity. Maybe they introduce you to someone. And in my experience, I have to admit that this is really best if done together with the sales organization because they have the contacts. They know other sales at other organizations who know their own contacts, their own customers. And this is really a job best done in partnership with your sales organization. And what I do see is that every time this happens between pre-sales and sales in my organization and pre-sales and sales at another organization, then we have best of the both worlds. It really works well. And if you can actually quantify internally how much business is being brought because of this, this will automatically justify the point of why are we investing so much time in partner development? Well, they are bringing in a lot of the business for us. And we're doing a lot of business because of them. So it is important to quantify this. So make sure that your sales pipeline includes the option to track whether an opportunity came from a partner. I expect that you already have the opportunity to track whether it's being resold through a customer, but also make sure that you have a field that says this opportunity was influenced by partner X. And this way you can actually quantify how much of your pipeline is coming through partners and which partners are critical to you from a pipeline perspective. Wrapping up, there are three things that I would like to summarize from a different point of view of all of this information that I share with you. First of all, draw and maintain a map of your ecosystem. So we saw the zoo, different colors and shapes and formats. Those were just ideas, and you should really make up your own taxonomy when it comes to partners. But it is important to not only draw, but to maintain a map of your ecosystem. Understand who the players are, understand who are the partners. You might do this from a competitive landscape perspective already. Do this for partners as well. Same approach, same skills, same type of process. Actually much easier because when you do it for competitive landscape, it's information hard to find. When you're talking to partners, they're very happy to tell you what it means. Second key takeaway, optimize the roles of each different team: engineering, sales, customer success. Sales engineering is usually great at exploiting and demonstrating the value that you bring on the table. Sales is great at negotiating opportunities, understanding the decision maker landscape, understanding the customer perspective. Work with your sales, let them do what they do best, and support them with what you do best. If you do that, it will be just much easier than trying to do that all of your own. If your company is trying to make sales engineering handle all the partnership without any support from sales, it is doomed to fail. I only find that only the combination of sales and sales engineering working together can actually make a difference. The last and most important is a term that I often use in actually producing documentation. It's one of the first few documents that I build whenever I develop a new partner, is the 1 + 1 = 3 document. What is the amplification of value that we bring when we work together? So if your attitude towards developing partners is creating value out of the partnership itself, then you can actually have a stab at doing this in the right way. Once again, I invite you to connect with me on LinkedIn, and let's open it up for Q&A. Let me stop sharing.
Awesome. Thank you, Renato. We have a question here, and it says, do you have any type of criteria that needs to be met before a partner qualifies for pre-sales time? If yes, how do you facilitate that?
Oh, absolutely. Very, very good question. Yes. Starting point is the same criteria you use for an actual opportunity with a direct client also applies. On top of that, I would say the personal, I mentioned it earlier, the personal point of view. If you were on the other side, would you like to work with that company yourself? So the way that you should present yourself to them and the way that they should present back to you is, do we want to work together? We don't have to. So if the answer to that question becomes, yes, we really want to work with that company because they're a cool company, they have a great product, they have a great culture, gosh, I might even like actually working for them, then you tick all the boxes in the sense of, yes, then it makes sense working with them. If you start having doubt about, well, it's a great company, but they try to stab partners in the back. Yeah, that happened several times to me. And if you realize too late, it's a problem. Or, yeah, it's a great company, but they tend to copy capabilities in-house and then ditch you as a partner. Yes, that happened to me as well. You should try to find that out right away. Great company, great product, but they really do not want to work with other companies. So why we're trying to partner with them? So these are some of the more soft considerations. More of the hard are, what is their market size? Where do they work? Are we competitive? Do they have the same type of decision makers? I'll make an example. I work in a streaming media company, but with media companies mostly on the software side for delivery. So what we do is very close to the user experience. Many times there are partners that do more of the plumbing, like for example, networking or video distribution or satellite distribution. Yes, we are both companies in the media space, and the customers they have are very interesting, but their decision makers are literally, they don't even talk to our decision makers, the people that would buy our software. So it is important to understand from a hard point of view whether the region, the type of customers, the decision makers that these companies work with are the same decision makers that are going to actually help you. Because if they're not, then you might want to rethink whether it might make sense. It might be a technology partnership where you have a joint product offering, but they will not help you from a sales point of view because they won't bring you anyone that would actually understand or even sign off on your services and products. Thank you for the question. That was good. And I see we have a bingo too in the comment. Yes.
Perfect. We had one other question, and we're going to have to dig back a little bit and see if we can remember. The question was, it was about 20 minutes into the presentation, and they asked, how can you use this framework to help your immediate team improve job quality today?
Good question. Now, in my personal case, I really believe in this framework, so it's easy for me to tell my other teammates to just follow along. So I've not been in a situation where this hasn't worked constructively, but I can see where when you can actually justify the amount of revenue, and if we look at the end of the presentation where we're actually quantifying the amount of revenue that comes from partners. So quality of life for a sales engineer in general, quality of work relates to how much time you can spend on doing stuff. If I like to think myself of a typical sales engineer sales. So I really like to do things very well, which means I need my time to prepare things that are high quality of work. It's important. You get one shot to make a good impression. You don't get another shot. So you need to do best first time, which means time. Again, time is of the essence. So if you can quantify back to your management, to your leadership, how much revenue is associated to a partner, you can actually decide at that point how much time you can allocate out of your own time, which will automatically make it easier to understand, okay, there's no demonstration today. There's no proof of concept running. I don't have any customer meeting. What should I do today? Should I learn the new Python Llama model that just came out? And should I do a little bit of research in machine learning? Should I just take a day off? Should I work in developing a partner? So that's a moment when you start realizing that if you quantify the amount of pipeline that comes in through partners, yes, you should really think about allocating good quality amount of time on that, which will allow you to manage partners from a quality perspective. I hope this goes in the direction of the question.
Great, thank you. We've got another question that came in here from Haley. She says, great session, Renato. Would you recommend or trust your partners demo your product? How much enablement should we allocate to enable partners?
You have to. I think if you're not in a situation where you don't trust your partner to do your demo, rethink your strategy. Now, I'm saying this, and at the same time, I'm biting my tongue because every time that happens, I'm like, oh, let me do the demo. I see the partners doing the demo, I'm like, oh, what is that guy clicking? So yes, it is very, very difficult to let someone drive your car. If you think of the analogy of running a demo as, hey, come with me, I'm trying to sell your car. You are in the passenger seat, I'll take you around. Here's the moment I give you the keys, you drive the car, and I'm going to be horrified that you might crash it. But you have to put yourself in a situation where you believe them. Yes, they will not be able to do exactly as you wanted. Yes, they will leave out a lot of stuff and information that you told them. Yes, they will try at every possible way to highlight why their offering is crucial to your product. Part of the game, you will do the same, but you have to be in a situation where you enable them to at least talk 5 minutes about your product. I always love to be present when these demonstrations happen. In my industry, it's a very low volume of opportunities for a high revenue attached to each opportunity. Talking about 7 figures per opportunity. If I do a few proof of concepts a month, that's a lot. I don't do volume of opportunities. I go for a small amount. That's our market. So I have the luxury of being able to attend even partner meetings. And I like usually to attend and tell them, hey, I would love if you did a presentation. I'll be there to support you. If you want me to chime in at any point in time, I will. And what happens most of the time is that the partner talks about why we're a crucial piece of the puzzle, why it's important. They go to the presentation, and I'm there to support. Sometimes they need my support. Sometimes my support is probably not even needed or probably not even best. So I would definitely put yourself in a situation where your goal should be to enable them to do a demo. Maybe it's a canned, pre-recorded style, off the script, read the script demo. Fine. Would a company believe that you are in a good partnership if your partner was not able to demo your solution? I don't think they would.
Great. Well, that is all of the questions that we have, Renato. So thank you so much for this amazing presentation today. I'm going to pull my screen up here just for a quick second.
Thank you, Taylor. And again, thank you, Gonçalo, for the opportunity. This is such a great event, and I'm so happy that and so grateful to you for the ability to present today. This is really something that for the overall sales engineering community, I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Well, folks, we're very excited to be bringing DemoFest on the road again as DemoFest X. We had a great time in San Francisco in February, and we can't wait to bring the event to London and New York again later this year. You can register to join us at either of these events at demofest.com or at the link in the Docs tab on the right of your screen. We also encourage you to stop by our expo hall to visit our premier partners at DemoFest. Remember, there is no transfer of money involved in this event, so all of our partners here have gone above and beyond to contribute to making this event a success for all of you. Thank you all for joining us for this session, and thank you once again, Renato, for that valuable insight and knowledge. Up on the screen are the upcoming sessions. You will be automatically pushed to the next session in your track, and you can switch tracks or sessions by toggling to the agenda tab at the top left of your screen. We'll see you soon.